She stood at the station, clutching a letter she had never sent. The paper had grown soft at the edges because she had touched its surface numerous times. Tonight was her last chance because the train would come, bringing her the solution that she had been waiting to receive. The platform hummed with anticipation. The metallic scent of rails mingled with the cool night air. She pressed the letter into her chest because she believed it would stop her from shaking, which she experienced inside. He had made her a basic promise about an unattainable goal, which he delivered to her 2 years back when they stood under cherry blossoms that dropped like pink snow. "When the petals fall again, I will return." His voice had been steady, his eyes unwavering. She believed him. How could she not? The blossoms had seemed eternal that day, suspended in the air like blessings. Every spring since, she has returned to the same place, waiting, hoping, watching the petals drift to the ground. Each year, she whispered his promise back to herself, as if repeating it could summon him. The world shows harsh treatment through its seasonal changes. Spring turned to summer, summer to autumn, autumn to winter. Her hope disappeared with every season because it spread through the air like wind-blown leaves. Yet she kept writing letters. Her heart produced words which she transferred onto paper, because she had a confession which she would never send. She described her experience of waiting, her state of being alone, and how everything became empty without his presence. She wrote about cherry blossoms and trains and promises. The letters piled up in a box beneath her bed, unsent, unread, but alive with longing. She walked to the station every evening. The practice became her habit, which connected her to the promise. She sat on the same bench with her scarf wrapped tightly while she spoke his name into the wind. The station workers began to recognize her presence because she visited the station multiple times without revealing her purpose. She became known as the girl who delivered letters and waited for others. The letters formed a silent mountain which contained her faith through every letter she received. The train arrived at the platform with a loud screeching sound which interrupted the train's arrival at the station. The noise interrupted her mental process. She looked up and saw him standing there. He appeared older and tired, but she could still identify him. His hair had developed silver strands, which he wore with a heavier body than she had witnessed in his past. Yet his eyes, those eyes, were the same. He held a notebook, which displayed her name on its front cover. She stopped because her breath became trapped in her throat. He really came back, right? He really returned, didn't he? Her heart raced. She stood up while shaking because her legs could not walk anymore. He looked through the audience while he searched for someone because his eyes went from one person to another. Their eyes made contact. The world stopped existing for one brief moment. The years turned into nothingness. The blossoms reopened their flowers because time had bent itself to respect their promise. The distance between them created a pulling force which brought him closer to her. The crowd began to move forward as passengers who needed to reach their destinations created an obstacle which blocked their way. She advanced through the crowd while shouting his name because she needed to find him. He heard her. She saw it in his smile, in the way he lifted the notebook high above the crowd, a beacon meant for her. She reached toward him with her hand, but the clock struck midnight, which caused her to stop. The station rang with a sound which produced a sharp echo that ended all things. The train doors closed. The whistle blew. She lunged forward, but the tide of passengers swept him away, carrying him into the departing crowd. The empty and cold air brushed against her fingers. The train departed, which made its lights fade into the darkness. She stood alone, breathless, her heart pounding against the silence. The only thing left on the platform after it emptied was the notebook, which stayed on the bench where she had always sat. She approached it slowly as if it might vanish if she moved too quickly. The cover contains his handwriting, which shows his name. With trembling fingers, she opened it. Inside were her letters. Every word she had written, every hope she had hidden. He had carried them all along. He had somehow obtained all of them, which he had kept after finding everything. The pages of the document functioned as a reflection of her inner self, which demonstrated that he had always remembered her. Her waiting time had proved to be useful because it had produced evidence. Tears obscured her sight while she flipped through the book. She discovered her own handwriting, which contained her personal confessions, but now they existed as a precious artifact. He transported her thoughts between different times and locations throughout his life. He maintained her presence throughout all his travels when he could not visit her. The notebook contained both past events and emotional attachments that had built up over time. She pressed the object against her body just like she had done with the letter earlier, yet her body remained still. She was not alone. She had never been alone. Love returned to them, yet it would not remain. She understood that now. Some stories do not end with reunions, with embraces, with promises fulfilled. Some stories live in the letters we keep, in the words we dare not send, in the promises we never let go. She closed the notebook gently, as if it were a fragile bird. The train tracks gleamed under the station lights, stretching into the distance. He had vanished past the distant point between them. He had given her a lasting gift, which exceeded his physical presence, because he provided her with evidence of his affection and their shared memories and their shared future. She sat on the bench holding the notebook in her lap while she experienced her first moment of silence about his existence for many years. She did not need to. The wind already carried it, written in her letters, bound in his hands, etched into the silence between them. She lifted her gaze to the night sky, where stars scattered like blossoms. The petals had fallen. The promise had been kept. And though the story had not ended as she once dreamed, it had ended as it must. In love, in memory, in words that will never fade. She waited until she could no longer wait. She rose from the bench, notebook pressed close, and walked away from the station. The night was quiet, the air cool, the world vast. She carried with her not the ache of waiting, but the weight of love preserved. Some stories live forever, not in endings, but in the letters we keep.